Alright, so we're back down here at the tractor now. We're going to put this fender on. Go ahead and just slide it in here onto the plate. And we'll go ahead and put the original bolts back in it. So now on the back side, back here at my lift, I have these stabilizer brackets, and these are my stabilizer brackets. As you see, I went ahead and put new pins, linch pins, and retention chain on here. You know, it's not wanting to focus, but you can see all that. And these are going to bolt on with the pin towards the center of the tractor. And I'm going to readjust the camera and try to get a better angle of it down there for you. So go ahead and slide this up in there. And then we'll get those tightened up. It being a 5/8 bolt, you could probably torque them up to 150 foot-pounds. What I would do is I would just start tightening it, because eventually it'll start popping and creaking. And once you get to that point, just stop. And that's probably going to be in the neighborhood of 50 to 70 foot-pounds, which for a fender, that's plenty. So let me go ahead and get that bolted down. I'm going to have to move the camera out of the way to do that, and then I'll show you how you put the light on here. Alright, so I got it bolted down now. So now I'm going to work on getting the light put on. Now this light, I think, comes with a 6-volt bulb. So if you're going to have a 12-volt tractor like this diesel model here, then you're going to have to change the bulb. Now these lights come with this asphalt loom on them, which is correct. However, this loom will not slide through the little tube in the fender, so you're going to have to pull this loom off of it first. So it should slide fairly easily, although this one's wanting to be a pain in the butt. There it goes. Set that aside for a second. So we're going to take and start feeding the wire through this tube, and it's going to come out down here above our rear bolt. And hopefully I got this tube good and straight to where this will slide through. It looks like there's some crud stuck in mine. Go figure. That's one thing I didn't mention when I worked on it. Make sure that tube's good and clean. Yeah, it looks like I got kind of like a dirt dauber nest or something in there. So let me get some something and run in there and clean that out real quick. Let's see if that'll feed now. Nope. Still got crap in it. That doesn't really surprise me because remember this fender did not even have a light. So who knows what all built nest down in here. I may end up having to go find a piece of wire and run all the way through it. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to do that real quick. Alright, so I was able to get that tube cleaned out. When I was doing the body work on this fender, I blew air into it and I swear air came out the bottom. However, that is not the case because this thing was full of rust. I ended up taking a 3/32 stainless steel TIG rod, grinding a point on it and ramming it down in there to break it up. And then I used a bore brush to clean it out. And believe it or not, I did not scratch the fender, which is a miracle. So, back to where I was. I got the loom off of the wire, and we're going to feed the wire down through the tube. And it'll come out here at the rear base of the fender. Alright, so we got that. Go ahead and unscrew the nut and the lock washer. Now the bad thing about these lights, when they ship them, they don't really cover up the loom, and that stuff has asphalt in it, like a tar type crap, and it'll get all over the light, so you'll have to come in here and just clean that off. I got quite a bit on this one I got to clean. But so you're just going to pull this wire through this hole. It should be okay, shouldn't have any issues with it chafing and shorting out. Kind of see some of the crap on this light right there that I need to clean off. And there's what it'll look like from the back side. And then we'll just snug that nut up. Okay, so there's the tail light on. Alright, this is just kind of easier to show you back here. I'm going to go ahead and just slide the loom back on the rear of the tractor. And then once I get this put on, then we'll go up towards the front and get it routed. And that loom kind of push back up into your fender a little bit. And let's move around towards the front side. Now, this wire is obviously a little bit longer than it needs to be for the row crop. Unfortunately, that's how it is. But that's basically going to come down here and run across this brake shaft. Now on the brake shaft, we have these clips that will hold it into place. And this is an original one. However, they do remake new ones. And these tractors are supposed to have 2 of them. And also, on the wiring, if you watched my video on actually wiring the tractor, I talked about how our light harness is kind of made backwards. They claim this one here was the one that went to the light when this went out to the implement light. However, this was way too short to reach the implement light. This one is not. And I said you're going to need a butt connector. Now, this here still comes from Carpenter. So we're going to plug our tail light into that. And then into our main light harness. And like I said, I like to kind of put it right there in that clip just to help hold it in place. And like I say, being the row crop, this is the wire's a little long, so I just kind of looped it up right there just to kind of keep it in a safe spot. Now you see this wire will want to lay right there on the brake shaft. So we'll take a clip, slide it on. You can put the wire on the top or the front, doesn't really matter. And your wire will run through that little notch on there. Like I said, that's for our implement lamp, which I do have one, but I have not worked on it yet. May put it on, may not, I don't know. Alright, so the last thing you got to do on your light install, make sure it works. Now for me, it didn't ground through the fender bolts, so I actually came back and where the fender hits the top of the axle tube, but it's kind of sanded paint off a little bit. And I added some dielectric grease in there just to try and prevent it from rusting. And I got my ground. So that's a success. So there's the right side fender installed. And there's the left side fender installed. And maybe whenever I get this thing out, I can get a better picture, but there they are installed. So now it's on to the hood.